Hello, and welcome to the lore of Braunhaven. We're going to be picking up where we were headed last time. We are detailing the rest of the town of Braunhaven, and today we're going to talk about the blacksmith and the armorer. Down here, the blacksmith shop is number 6, the armorer is at number 7. These are some of the tradesmen and services that you can find around town. So the blacksmith is run by the blacksmith and the armory are both run by a pair of dwarves. They are brothers, the Billet brothers. The blacksmith being run by Anvil Billet, and then his brother Stonesey Billet runs the armor. And they are both from excuse me, from Zlatoheim, and they were passing through with a trade caravan, and this was several years back, and they could see that the town was in need of smithy services, and so they set up shop. They were both experts at what they do. Now, when I say experts, they can craft just about any mundane item. Anvil is a skilled blacksmith. The people in town would say he's an expert at forging metal. Um, is that true? He's pretty good. He can make just about any mundane item that you would find in the For Adventures items, either from the Player's Handbook or from Carcass Crawler number 3. But it will take him considerable amount of time and probably twice the amount of resources, at least, to craft anything better. And probably I would say the max that he would be able to craft would be a +1 item, maybe 3 times the amount of resources, because he is only a level 1 dwarf. But that's not to say he's not skilled. He's not an adventurer. He gained his first level coming down here along with the trade caravan. But he's not an adventurer. His job is to be a blacksmith, and so I would say that if he were to be able to craft something, if these exotic materials were brought to him, swords and axes and hammers, things of that nature, the best that he could do is a +1, and the same goes for his brother Stonesey. Stonesey is an expert armorer. Again, Stonesy's a little bit older. He's a level 3 dwarf. He did some adventuring in his youth. He's a dwarf. He's a little bit older than Anvil, and he can actually tailor make items. So one of the things that may come up, especially if you have access to Carcass Crawler number 3, is full plate armor. And full plate armor, if it is found and somebody puts it on, it is -1 to the AC, because full plate armor has to be tailored to the individual. And so Stonesy is capable of making those alterations or crafting the armor specifically to you. But even so, like I said, 3 times the amount, and this is for referees out there, 3 times the amount of exotic resources, and mostly the reason for that many exotic resources is because they're going to have to do trial and error, and so if they are successful, +1 is the highest that they would be able to craft in town. You got to figure, Braunhaven is not a high level area. It is what it is. And another thing to keep in mind. So last week we talked about the All Faiths Temple with Father Fellister Ainsworth, the Druid. He is a 5th level Druid. It should also be noted that Father Ainsworth can be considered a sage, or really one half of a duo in town that would be considered sages, because if they were to bring in a magic item or something, there is a gnome in town, and we'll get to her in just a moment, that they can discuss it, and they can kind of figure out, usually what the lore behind some items are. Now, high level items, artifacts, maybe an artifact because there are legends and whatnot about it, but anything that is over +1, they're probably going to have a bit of difficulty on it. But named items and artifacts, of course, they would be able to come up with something. um, so those are the Billet brothers. And then down here at number 8, we have a wheelwright. And so Willem Farquharson and his 3 sons run the wheelwright shop. They kind of have set their business up to cater to the merchant trade caravans that move along the Eastern Tradeway through the town of Braunhaven, and that's really where they make their bread and butter. But they can repair wagons and carts. They can craft wagons and carts. And his 3 sons, Arthur is 17, Cameth is 14, and James is 10. And then across the road from the wheelwright is number 9 is the alchemist, who is run by Willem's wife, Gemma Farquharson. And she has a small apothecary, and she is a fairly skilled alchemist. She has in the front end of her shop several potions that are on sale. These are mostly going to take the form of healing potions. The way I do it is that on any given day, on any given week, you can roll a d6, and that's how many potions are available for sale in the shop. There is a 2 in 6 chance generally that she will have some other kind of potion available in the shop, and that's of course randomly picked. It's up to the referee's discretion. But like I said, keep in mind this is a low-level starting area, so probably nothing. She's not going to have like potions of giant strength and things like that. And so now something to keep in mind: Willem, his 3 sons, and Gemma, they're all just normal humans. They've lived in the area their whole lives. They have never gone adventuring, and that whole thought, the whole idea of adventuring, kind of scares them. And then we have over here, in still kind of focusing on this little town square area, we have the number 10 is the general store. Now, the general store is run by the gnome Nema Crinklegringle, and she would be the other half of that sage duo between Father Fellister Ainsworth and herself. And Nema, especially during the spring and summer months, she will often have sales going on for adventuring items in her general store. Like you could save 25% on a 10-foot pole. And this, of course, the store tries to cater to those of the adventuring spirit. There's a lot of people. There are a higher number of adventurers in the Braunhaven region because who wants to slave away in the mud, farming pigs and and turnips, while giving away 33% of your total assets to the emperor. And so there are a higher number of adventurers that usually don't stick around very long in the Braunhaven region, unfortunately for Braunhaven. But she does cater to those types, so she'll have some ration, especially iron rations and things of that nature. And regular rations and iron rations, of course, are all going to come from area number 1, the Braunhaus Coaching Inn, which are made by Tika Crackerbottom and her grandma Crackerbottom. And they kind of supply that and sell on consignment through the general store. Now, something to be noted about Nema is that Nema Crinklegringle is actually a pretty skilled illusionist. She is a gnome illusionist level 4. And her favorite thing, and this is especially true in the spring and summer months, is that she will do, illusionary magic tricks for the children that are in town. And that's one of her favorite things to do. She is, she takes on the manner of the sly old grandma. except that she's what 3 feet tall, and likes to wear a red hat. But she is a kind woman, very good in her natures, and quite knowledgeable about lore and things of that manner. So she is, like I said, she's the other half of the sage. And number 11 is actually an open market, kind of a it's kind of a it's labeled as just an open market, but it kind of serves a dual purpose. So the open market is really a farmer's market. Farmers bring in their produce, and it is open every day. It starts at 8 bells in the morning and ends at 5 bells at night. And they do, in addition to produce, they do actually sometimes trade livestock here as well. And so the open market would be where you would go if you wanted to, say, purchase riding horses or draft horse, probably more draft horses than riding horses, but there are some riding horses available too. And they, of course, they trade aurochs occasionally between the farmers. Not that adventurers would probably have much use for aurochs, but oxen, things of that nature. So that is where you would go. The other thing that the open market has is that Braunhaven has a, I wouldn't say flourishing, fledgling would be more of the term. It has a fledgling black market. And it has more or less, the town council has more or less allowed this to happen. And there is a logic behind this, and this really extends to our real life world. So any civilized town, of course, is going to have laws, and there's going to be items um, that are blacklisted as illegal. A certain amount of those items are going to be allowed through, and the reason for that is that for any kind of civilization to survive and even flourish or grow has to have a black market. The black market functions as a pressure release valve. There is stuff that people want, and whether it's illegal or not, they have to be allowed to get it. Otherwise, you are going to have crime and other problems with your society. The members of the town council of Braunhaven realize this. Now, there's not a whole lot that is that is illegal in Braunhaven. They really take, the town council really takes a independent approach. They don't interfere with people's lives, but there is a minor black market that goes on, and if you, especially if you have people that are of the thief or acrobat or half orc persuasion, um, they may be able to find those contacts using thieves' cant around the open market, and they're few and far between. And they're not, those contacts aren't always there every day. Um, and there's not, the town itself isn't rife with crime, so it's not like you're going to get your pocket picked at the open market. There's just simply not that many people. There's not enough people in the town for a pickpocket to lift your wallet and then slide off into the crowd. They're going to get caught because all 10 people at the market are going to know that number 11 and 12 are not supposed to be here. So there's not a lot of crime, but there is a fledgling black market, usually in the form of fencing of goods, and the fencing rate, especially for magic items, is going to be astronomical. The fence is likely to take something like 60 to 70%, and magic items. It should be reminded to anybody that is a 5e player, because we can sell anything we want. No, you can't. Um, the economy in Braunhaven, these people don't have a lot of money. The town is fairly broke, so and even the black market, there, if you want to sell even like say a +1 dagger, The fence is then going, before he even takes possession of what you're wanting to sell, he is going to have to go off and find a buyer. And that can, the value of that can fluctuate greatly. It really depends on what somebody is willing to pay with. Then they're going to come back to you and say, this is what my buyer can buy for, and this is my cut off the top. And so, plus one dagger, you might only make 20, making 25% of the value, the actual value of the item would be considered pretty good. Down here at 12, you have tenement homes, and most of these homes are empty. There might be a couple of townspeople that live in them, but they are basically townhouses, or in that kind of style, townhome apartments. Most of them are empty. They have been ravaged by the elements. They are in need of serious repair. But this is potential potential player character housing in the future. And then, of course, I have it listed on the map as tenement homes, but this large one over here as number 12 is considered a part of the tenement homes, but it isn't really. This is actually the Braunhaven Manor for the Indigent. And so the Braunhaven Manor for the Indigent was original. Nobody knows who originally built the manor. It was probably quite grand at the time. And then during the onset of the demon plague, whoever was living there had vacated some time ago. During the onset of the demon plague, the town came in and kind of renovated it and turned it into a hospice care kind of place. And then the plague started to let up, and so they kind of gave up on, or there were just too many people dead, rather. And so they kind of gave up on that. They removed any bodies and whatnot, and it sat there again to fester and rot. And so now the town, for the couple of problems that are plaguing the town, are willing to offer the manor for the indigent to a group of adventurers as payment to a group of adventurers that kind of help the town out. And the idea that the town council has in offering this is that they are hoping that if they were to do that, they would have an adventuring group that will kind of put roots into the town and not only invest in the town's economy, but offer some form of protection to the town. And then last but not least, we come to 13, which is the town hall. Now, it should be noticed that the town of Braunhaven does have a burgomaster. They serve a 2-year term, and then the town votes on who the new burgomaster is. And so it's not. You'll note if you have the Braunhaven campaign setting book, it is not noted who the current burgomaster is, just because they change burgomasters quite often. And so most of the decisions, though, day-to-day affairs of the town, are run by the town council, and with the burgomaster as their head. One of the rules of the burgomaster is that they do have the power to veto any decision by the town council, basically placing the whole voting process into a quagmire. That's not really ever happened. Mostly everybody in town. It's not like they have multiple competing political parties. Everybody in the town pretty much agrees to the good of the town, and so there's been no need to veto any votes. But in addition, also operating out of in this little outbuilding here as part of the town council or town hall as well. Out of this little outbuilding is actually where the town militia resides, and so the militia is basically on a volunteer basis, but the position of town constable is delegated a position for life, and so the current constable is named Marker Millsmith. He has been an adventurer in the past. He's a fifth level fighter, and he was from the Braunhaven region, and gave up his life of adventuring to follow this dream of bringing the town of Braunhaven back to life. And part of that, of course, is that the town needed protection, and so he offered his services. Um, and there are orc raiders from the other side of the west side of the Great River. There are um, lots of bandits, tons of bandits, and so um, his services are much needed. And so they do have a small town militia that he has trained up, and that they consist of level 1 fighters. And but there's not a whole lot of them. I mean, you could probably count the number of town militia on one hand, in addition to uh, Mr. Millsmith. So the town is not overly defended, and it can be um, dangerous at times, especially, I mean, if there were to be an orc raid. I mean, the town militia might be able to bloody their nose a bit, but there's a really good chance that, I mean, how many of the town militia are going to survive that kind of raid? It really depends on the size of the raid. The orcs haven't been too big on. There are occasional raids. They haven't been too big on doing a full force invasion. Mostly, they come in, they kill some people, they steal some livestock, raid some buildings, and then they leave. So, I mean, it is what it is. And the town militia, of course, Mark or Millsmith would love to have more people available to him. And one of Mark or Millsmith's dreams is to build a wooden wall and wall off the town. Presently, the town has no exterior defense, and the town council is really up in the air about that, because they don't want to wall off the town and make it seem uninviting to trade caravans that are coming down the Eastern Tradeway. Other people argue that a wall around the town would actually draw in more traders that are coming down, because they would feel safer within the walls of the town. So, then of course there is the cost, because you got to pay people to go chop down trees, and you got to be careful about that so you don't piss off the elves. It is probably one of the biggest political conundrums going on in the town currently, as to whether or not to build this wall. So that is the town of Braunhaven. Next time, we will be getting into uh, the economy of the town of Braunhaven, and probably touch on some of the races that are in the region. So thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time on the Lore of Braunhaven.